to work here with, was it Ozzy Osbourne?
That's right. That's correct. Yeah, I did the first three records: Diary of a Madman, Blizzard of Oz, Bark at the Moon, and I did Tribute, and what was that other one? Speak of the Devil, that live double album.
Wow, that is impressive. That my Uncle Ben got me into that, and he brought me a cassette tape, Diary of a Madman,
Yeah.
and that changed my life forever. And you had a hand in that, so
Yeah,
I'm
I recorded
so
it.
impressed, to meet you. That's so amazing. Where was it recorded?
It was recorded. Those first two records were recorded at Ridge Farm in Surrey, in England. It's like a country studio out there. So we did the first one there, and then some months later we did the second one down there. So they were done very quickly, probably about 3 weeks for the first one, and probably about 4 weeks for Diary of a Madman.
Now, did you have a particular moment with Randy Rhoads that just really stood out?
No, I don't think there's anything that particularly stood out. I mean, he's an excellent player. He worked very hard. He would rehearse a lot. I'd give him a tape loop, and he would rehearse 15 seconds before the solo, 15 seconds afterwards. We'd go up the pub and have a few pints, and then come back, and he'd be ready, and then we'd put down the solos. So it was pretty cool, yeah. And both of those records were really done pretty live.
Just on the fly, he would just come up with the solos. And
well, he wrote the solos, but he would rehearse them, and then so the solos were rehearsed, but the backing tracks were all done. Bass, drums, and rhythm guitar were all done in one take. In fact, between both of those records, there were no edits, there were no cuts on the drums, so those are all just live drums. And I think there were 3 punch-ins for Bob Daisy. That's it. Just to fix a couple of notes, yeah. So it's all very live. You know.
How many tracks were you using at that time?
Only 23 tracks, because we used one for time code, and that was it. Yeah, that's all we had. So when we had to do the orchestra stuff for Diary of a Madman, we would have to go and we would have like 4 tracks. So we'd do a stereo track, and we would say, okay, well, let's just do another one. You know, that was a run through because it's a union. So if you double track, you have to pay more money. You see, so we'd track the first one and say, well, we'll do a run through, but we would record it, and then we'd kick them onto a couple more tracks, so we'd be able to double track it. So tracks were very tight. Yeah, it was hard work.
And was Randy double tracking his
he
guitar?
triple tracked his solos. Yeah.
I heard he had a small Fender that he would take around.
He had a small Fender in his bedroom, I think, that he would practice on. Most of that stuff was done with a Marshall.
Okay.
And we actually
the White Marshall, the famous White Marshall.
No, I think in those days it was like the early, you know, just the standard Marshall. Yeah, and I think we used a Variac transformer on it. Dropped it down to about 95 volts to smoke it up a bit, just to dirty it up. Yeah. It was a great player, obviously. So you know. But we didn't have a lot of equipment. I mean, it was just very standard equipment.
And did he have a go-to guitar that he was using for particularly?
Well, he had 2 or 3 guitars down there. I can't remember which ones he used. So, but,
I know there's a lot of details.
Yeah, I don't remember which ones he used. There's probably people that do remember, but not me. You know, I don't know. I was in the control room, so pressing record. So.
Well, what do you find yourself doing nowadays?
I've been last 4 or 5 years. I've just been mixing. I just finished the Red Dragon Cartel album. We just mixed that. We finished that in August. That came out a couple of months ago. I do about 4 albums a year mixing. I get to pick and choose them. So, you know, I don't have to. If I don't like it, I don't do it. So. You know.
That's an impressive place to be, because a lot of people have to take whatever work is there. For you to choose, that means a lot.
Yes. Well, I have a day job as well, so. You know.
Don't we all?
Yeah,
That's great.
exactly,
So. If you could pick one project that you worked on that really stood out, and you know, not necessarily a Randy project, but maybe another project that was your passion, what would you say that would be?
If I had to pick just one, very difficult to pick just one. I mean, obviously, I think Diary of a Madman was turned out really well, and there was, you know,
amazing album.
Yeah, and quite a big difference from the first record. First record was really very basic. But we had a couple more toys on the second record. We had a lexicon reverbs, so we could use,
It
we
did
could.
sound a little.
Yeah, there was a much more expansive sound, and we worked a lot more on layering, layering guitars and clean sounds and stuff like that, which we didn't really do on the first record. But other records, I don't know. Lynch Mob, Wicked Sensation, that was a pretty good record, I thought. I don't know, so many records out there. If you look them all up, I mean, there's a lot of.
That is an amazing body work, just with what you've named so far. But so thank you so much for doing this interview for
absolutely.
KNAC. It's a real pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
I mean, this would mean
KNAC,
it means a lot to me and my uncle as well. So thanks again.
Oh, say hi to your uncle.
I will do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, man. You have a low key thing that
Yeah, at the time, you do these things. Like I said at the award show yesterday, we didn't know when we were making these records. We didn't know how, they were going to be auspicious or that they would stand this test of time. We just did the best we could in the time allowed.
I would think sometimes when you're there in the magic of the moment, I would think that you might know, hey, there's something about this that.
Well, you always try and catch the magic, so you're always trying to do that. But whether everybody else is going to catch it when the record's done, you have no idea.
So when was the big surprise, like where it just took off for you?
I think the big surprise was the amount of success that the record had in the U.S. It started to sell a lot of records in the U.S. very quickly. And I don't think that was expected. I know that Ozzy went to a lot of different labels to try and get it. He shopped it to a lot of different places, and everybody turned it down. So it ended up.
It was really hard for without Sharon, it wouldn't have gotten going.
Probably not. No, probably not. I think Sharon saw what was going on, and Don too. Her father. But obviously there was no love lost between those two guys. I can't say too much about that because otherwise they'll sue me. But I have been sued by them before. But yeah, so you really don't know at the time. You do the best you can, and you're inside the bubble, so you don't really recognize what you just try and do the best. You get the best performance. You try and get the best songs, and that's really what it is. Because you're inside the bubble, you don't really see. You're not as objective as you probably would be a year later, or from somebody else that's looking at it. So it's you do the best you can. You get it on tape. You press record, make sure you press record, and you hope for the best in a lot of cases. So,
well, thanks again. I feel like I'm taking up all your time.
Oh yeah, I did I did the Resurrection album. I did the Crucible album. I did all pretty much from then on. I did all his solo stuff, and I even remixed the fight stuff.
So, since we're here for Randy Rhoads, was there a particular moment that stood out for you when you were younger and first heard him?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the first songs I ever learned on guitar was Crazy Train,
That's a standard for sure.
Yeah, and then I Don't Know, and then I went from there. And then what really blew me away is when I really got into Diary of a Madman. I just think that's like the most ultimate record.
And does his playing influence a particular thing in your playing?
Yeah, most definitely. I'm a little bit more rough with it, but he was so smooth. But I'm into classical music, and also I like how he mixes the blues with the classical, and I also like
Makes the rock.
yeah, and I like the patterns a lot that he did. He would do some really cool patterns.
Like it was beyond pentatonic patterns.
He would mix pentatonic with the minors or the majors, and also harmonic minors, and he would create just like you hear Mr. Crowley as the solo, you know what I mean? Or like flying high, or all this just over the mountain. So when I heard that, I was like floored. When I first heard that, I was really floored.
That's amazing. Can you tell us about any other projects that you're working on that you see to know about?
Yeah, there's a band with that's coming out that I produced and I played a little and co-wrote some of the tunes. They're called Spirits of Fire, and the singer is Tim Ripper Owens, who used to be in Priest. Chris Crafty, who's in TSO and Sabotage. Mark Zonder from Fate's Warning, and Steve DiGiorgio, bass player from Death and Testament.
So real slackers.
Yeah, you know, farm league, you know what I mean? It's all farm, you know, all farm.
How does it feel to be in the room? Did it shock you though this time?
Well, you know what? I've been friends with some of the guys, so it was like some of the guys. It was my first time working with them, but it was really cool the way it all came together because everybody just kind of we just wrote and everybody just kind of did their bits, and then we just go a lot with the internet. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
With KNAC.com.
Yeah.
Look forward to hearing your new project.
This is the Randy Rhoads Remembered Legend Award presented to Mr. Lee Kersler on this day, and I want to let Brian read it for you real quick.
Lee, I could go on for a long time about how much your drumming has inspired me. I could go track by track on those records and air drum to them all, and it's an honor that you're here. I don't even know what to say. You guys, give it up for Lee Kersler. There's so much. This is Randy and Lee and Bob Daisley and Ozzy in a studio before anybody ever heard any of this. Creating this music, creating these drum parts that are still to this day like to the most iconic rock records of all time. So it's fucking awesome to have Lee here. Lee Kersler, one more time. Lee Kersler. So when you see this, it says Randy Rhoads Remembered Legend Award presented to Lee Kersler, January 24th, 2019, for playing on and being an integral part of the two most iconic records of all time, Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. Your contribution to these two records is acknowledged and appreciated by the entire rock community for the past 5 decades. Thank you very much.
Lee, I just wanted to let you know there was a lot of hot summer nights when Randy and I were outside the whiskey, listening to Uriah Heep. We didn't have the money to get in, but we were outside listening to you. And it was a real thrill for him to finally get to work with you. He was very, 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 very touched and pleased with that. So thank you so much.
I'm going to say something. I made the magic record today. I did last year with Don Airy, and I think tonight we have. And the magic is not me, the magic is Randy. Trust me.
Little sister, little brother, you didn't so proud. I would only say it was an honor to be involved with a band of street members, musicians that had such a magic. It was phenomenal. And I thank people like Rudy who carried on the name, great bass player. And this motherfucker, the drummer. It was wonderful. I just want to say one more thing. Randy, I did it, man! Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you. Take care of it.
Lee Kersler, give it up for Lee Kersler, everyone!
I want to say one thing. Very important. The little shit's there. That guy made it work, made it possible. He was our engineer genius, Max Norman. I want to give him a big hand. He made it happen in the sounds. Without him, we wouldn't have made it. Give him a big hand, please, for my sake. I don't get these emails and they leave me on the loop. Give it up. The guy that produced it, the guy that made the sounds, Max Norman. Max Norman, yeah. Serious history here, Max, thank you for coming. I wish somebody would have told me you were coming. All right. I'm glad you got a beer. Are you comfy? Everything all right over there? You got a table? All right.
Director in Los Angeles, Doug Aldrich. I happened to catch his performance at the Randy Rhoads Remembered. Smashed it.
Thank you.